Hi, and welcome back to my series, The Impossibility of Man-Made Greenhouse Gas Warming. Today we're talking about solar cycles. Well, as everyone knows, it's getting warmer. And we also know that one of the reasons for it is the Earth has a wobble in its orbit, known as a Milankovitch cycle. And for the last 45,000 years, the Earth has actually been moving closer to the Sun. But that doesn't explain things like the medieval warming period and the Little Ice Age. They really happened, so why? Well, the reason has to do with the Sun. We all know that the Sun has an 11-year sunspot cycle, and that the dark spots indicate how active the Sun is. The more sunspots, the more energy the Sun is giving off. Why does the Sun go through solar maximums and solar minimums? Why does it change heat? Well, actually, we don't know. The actual interior of the Sun is always the same temperature. It's the amount of sunlight and heat that's given off by the outside of the Sun that actually changes. The 11-year sun cycle is pretty regular, but for centuries at a time, the Sun simply goes into a minimum, or it goes into a maximum, giving out a lot less heat or a lot more heat. Of course, deciding when the Earth is in an ice age and when the Earth is in a warming period is kind of hard. For example, let's take the Little Ice Age. Some researchers say it began in the 17th century and ended in the 18th century. Others say it began in the 1300s and ended in the 1800s. While everybody is pretty sure when it ended because, of course, in the 1800s, we had the mercury thermometer that allowed us to specifically measure heat in our own atmosphere. And the British Empire covered the entire planet in the 19th century. So during the 1800s, British naturalists all over the globe were recording rainfall, barometric pressure, and temperatures. And thanks to the British Empire, we have a wealth of temperature and barometric pressure readings throughout the entire, almost modern history of the British Empire. So the end date of the Little Ice Age, 1855, is pretty much tacked to the wall. When it started, though, that is a little problem. And it's a little problem because, well, the fact is a lot of people want to nitpick. For example, let's look at the IPCC report number 3. In the third IPCC report, they claim that the medieval warming period and the Little Ice Age didn't even happen. Now, how did they reach that idea? Well, they said some areas of the country, some areas of the world were having warm weather during the Little Ice Age. And some areas of the planet were having cold weather during the medieval warming period. So, what's going on? Well, it's the simple reality that there's a difference between climate and weather. Weather is what's happening right now. It's what happens on the short time. Climate is what happens over the long period of time. During the long period of the medieval warming period, the Earth was warmer. During the long period of the Little Ice Age, the Earth was colder. But even during an ice age, or a little ice age, or a warming period, weather is still happening. Some areas are going to have a lot of rain. That's weather. Some areas are going to have less rain. They might even have drought. That's weather. They might be extra warm. That's weather. They might be experiencing record colds. That is weather. The weather on the Earth changes. We all know that from our own lives. Day to day to day, the weather rarely is the same. And even though the Earth is in a cold period, even though the Sun is in a solar minimum or in a solar maximum, weather is still happening on the Earth. The winds are blowing, the seas are moving heat from the tropics into the polar regions. All of the things that cause weather to happen right now were happening during the medieval warming period and during the Little Ice Age. In fact, if we go back 45,000 years, when the Earth is in the last ice age, weather was still happening. After all, at the equator, there was only a 3-degree drop Fahrenheit during the last ice age. They probably didn't even know down around the equator that there was an ice age. And they still had rain. They still had lots of rain. They still had flooding and drought. They still had high temperatures, and they still had low temperatures. This is weather. Weather does not negate a long-term climatic era, whether it's an ice age, a mini ice age, or a medieval warming period. All right, that's all for today. You have a wonderful day, and look forward to the next episodes. Bye-bye now.